Hey, good afternoon guys, and thank you for joining us today's Work in Progress and Profitability Reporting webinar. My name's Thomas, and I'm here with my colleagues Ian and Amanda, and we're here to show you some of the new features that we've introduced in ConstructionSuite 6, Construction Executive's 2015 Top Product of the Year Award. So, some of you may have seen ConstructionSuite 6 and started working with the new version. What you'll notice that whenever you open up ConstructionSuite 6 is we've really done a lot of work to overhaul the user interface. Our goal with ConstructionSuite 6 is to make sure that you always have all of your information available quickly and easily at your fingertips. One of the things we've realized is that as the world becomes more interconnected, you work in a more global economy, there are a lot more aspects of your company and your projects that you're having to manage on that day-to-day basis. So what we've done here with our Today page is we've kind of summarized the overall goal of your company. Over on our left side, we can see we have a leads pipeline. This is going to point us towards where our incoming revenue streams are and how we're going to continue to grow our company and bring in the cash flow that we need to continue to operate and run. Over here to the right, we'll see really where our profitability stands. So with ConstructionSuite, one of the nice things about an integrated project management system like this is that the data that you put in as far as your financials and your estimates and your projects is used to help track and record your total project progress as you go throughout the job. The new dashboards in ConstructionSuite 6 are going to give you an upfront view of not only what you expect to spend, but what you're actually spending on each of your projects. In addition, we're going to have a nice breakdown of really where our different cost centers are in our projects, if they're the materials or the labor or really what we're working with, and quick and easy ways to filter down that information so we're always able to go in and check on any of our individual projects to make sure they're all running along as smoothly as they should be. Now this is just one of the dashboards that we've introduced in ConstructionSuite 6. We have a number of different dashboards for our different modules or aspects of ConstructionSuite 6, but one of the other nice features that we've introduced is going to be our work in progress reporting. Now, I'm going to turn this over to our Senior Product Specialist, Ian, to walk you through the process of work in progress reporting and really how that can benefit your company and help you grow moving forward.
Thanks, Thomas. All right, now, as Thomas mentioned, work in progress is, for ConstructionSuite, it's going to be a wonderful way for you to come into and manage a lot of the information that should be dealt with on a project-by-project basis. To begin with, you can find the work in progress section up here in the top right section on the Today screen. You can see there's work in progress for us right here. And we've got a good breakdown of all the different pricing information and everything like that. That's going to be available here, everything from our original contract prices to our job costs, everything like that. But before we dive into the report as a whole, let's take a look at where some of this information is actually coming from. Now, everything in ConstructionSuite is going to start off with the projects and the contacts that you set up in the program. If you come take a look at the projects section, you'll see one of these nice new dashboards that Thomas mentioned earlier. Here we've got all of the different project statuses for us to review, and this is going to come in handy later as we're looking at the work in progress. But first of all, I want to draw your attention to one of the jobs that we have here in ConstructionSuite. Let's take a look first at maybe Lot 185 Baldwin Park. That's one that probably most of you guys are going to be familiar with. So as we're taking a look at the project as a whole, you can see right here in the center for this project, the project details, specifically the estimate information for this project. In the estimate information, you'll see a lot of the base estimate information here, the base estimate cost, what we're looking at, and modified by any change orders. This is the estimated value, of course. You'll see some of the information that we've started pulling in from QuickBooks here, actual costs, committed costs, invoiced amounts, and so on. Also, as you get a little bit further down, we can see a breakdown of costs by classification. One of those things that we actually saw right there on the Today screen was a breakdown or a distribution of costs across all estimates, broken down by classification. This is giving it to us for this one project in particular. Now, as you start to put this information together for the estimate or for this job, you'll actually find that most of the information is going to be available right here in the primary estimate, and this is where we're going to be doing most of our work as we're going through this process today. In that primary estimate, which I have open here, of course, those of you who've been working with ConstructionSuite for a while probably recognize this format already. Here we've got our category and subcategory breakdown, probably from the remodeling residential master, it looks like. The residential master template is where we find a lot of this structure, and you can see the categories that I have here, like planning, foundation, framing, all those along the bottom here as well. But what we're focusing on for the profitability aspect of this is where the information comes from for generating our pricing details and how this information is going to be shared through the top QuickBooks integration available on the market today. Now, of course, everything starts with coming up with solid pricing for your estimates. And one of the things that I heavily recommend as you're going through this process as well is set up a strong template for you to keep an organized or a consistent estimating structure as you go through, because it makes it so much easier to track all of your pricing information if you can look at and compare apples to apples from job to job. You'll see a lot of this consistency as we make these estimating templates available, and like I said, this is the remodeling master that we're using as our basis. The more you can give yourself a template or a repeatable process as you go through this, the more likely you are to hone in on better estimated costs as you move forward. Now, of course, those costs are coming from a number of different locations, and one of those that we offer with ConstructionSuite is access to RS Means cost books. So for those of you working out of North America, predominantly the United States and Canada, you'll actually be able to see most of this information. Gotta go into one of the category sheets first. But you'll see most of this information once you dive into the items database here. We've got the various different categories and everything that you can work with, various different items. Looks like I need to do a little bit of an update, but that's okay for now. You'll also see that there's a multiplier section up here in the top right corner that allows you to select your location to apply a regional multiplier to get you a little bit closer to your average prices. Now, I mention this because RS Means is one of the top national pricing organizations available today, and we make that information available to you based on which product you're using. For example, ConstructionSuite, most residential versions will give you the repair remodeling cost book or the residential cost book. On the commercial side, we start to include things like light commercial, BCCD, and the commercial cost book with assemblies. But this is just for coming up with average costs. Some of you who have been working with ConstructionSuite might have gone into and applied your own quotes to this, or more importantly, there's an option to come into and import your own cost book. Now, I want to draw your attention to this because everybody working with cost books has one central location where they can update prices rather than going into every individual estimate to get that information correct. This means that as you're going job by job, you'll be able to make sure that the pricing information is up to date, accurate, which most of the time you'll be able to do by getting the little pop-up messages from ConstructionSuite to update your cost books. This is part of TotalCare, by the way. TotalCare subscribers should be getting that pop-up once every quarter or every 3 months. As you do that, as you update your prices or import your own costs, there is actually a one-button option. There's that update. There's a one-button option here to refresh all of your prices to make sure that you're using the most up-to-date or the most accurate to the minute costs as you're projecting out these jobs. This, of course, is going to help you stay on top of things too, because if your pricing information is accurate when you're starting, then that's going to help give you just more accurate numbers overall. So, of course, this is a wonderful way to get started with the estimated costs for this. And of course, as you're going through and you're putting together various different subcontractor bids or anything like that as well, you'll see that I have the resource column open and available for me to go into and pull those resources in as well. This is pulling from the joint ConstructionSuite contacts list that we have in here. This is a listing of all contacts that my company works with over the various years of working in construction. And this is nice because you'll be able to pull from this, as we talked about in previous webinars as well, to make sure that you're using the right people for the job, and so that you don't have to worry about insurance information or licensing or anything like that being expired as you're pushing these out. Of course, as you put most of this information together, you'll actually see the pricing information updating over on the summary page as well. And what's nice about this is as you're pulling in your resources, you're pulling in your costs, it's giving you a total cost, which you can then apply some extra markups to give you a total price. This is what's giving us that original contract sum. From here, you'll be able to calculate out everything that we need for this particular job, and there's a variety of different tools to help keep you guys on task and on track for this as well. Again, we've got category costs down here to see everything broken out by trade in my case. I've got costs by type, which could be estimates, options, allowances. This estimate summary section also has costs by classification, which is a wonderful way to see that cost breakdown based on what types of sections you guys are bidding out. You'll see that classification column here, which is what we're taking advantage of in this case. There's also going to be this nice little cost breakdown section down here in the bottom right-hand corner. This is very similar to how the cost breakdown looks in various other sections in ConstructionSuite, like that cost breakdown by classification has a similar look and feel. The financial graph is one that I'm a huge fan of because it also shows you all the information that we're pulling in from QuickBooks. Now, along those lines, of course, you're going through the estimate, you're setting up all of the original pricing information and everything like that. Please don't forget to take a look at this category sheet at the end. We've got that company overhead and margin sheet, which is what allows you to account for your company's overhead costs, those costs of doing business. And of course, the company's profit margin, again, most important part of doing these jobs is making a profit. So make sure you come in and take a look at these sections as well so that you get those percentages applied. Now, I'm actually one of the QuickBooks Pro advisors here at UDA Technologies, and I've had the wonderful opportunity of working with hundreds of other QuickBooks Pro advisors as well across a wide variety of construction industries. Most recently, I've actually had some work that I've been doing with one of the Remodelers Advantage advisors. She's a consultant for there. She's added a lot of input and made some recommendations. Also, we've got a couple that we've been working with through Intuitive Accounting. You can actually find one of their articles on their website, intuitiveaccountant.com. But a lot of them will make recommendations here to use one of two types of calculations. Most commonly, it's going to be percent margin, which we give you the option for here by default. But for those of you who are doing cost plus projects, you'll actually be able to switch over to that option as well. Percent costs and percent margin are far and away the most common that we see. If you guys have any others, we can always take a look at making sure that that information comes in well for you. If you're looking for defaults, go with percent margin. It's always going to give you a bit of a higher value, and this is what you're going to hear from, well, for me, it's been every CPA I've ever talked to. So take a look at those. It's going to give you wonderful options for getting your pricing information together. And from there, this all goes over to QuickBooks right here from the QuickBooks Integration tab. And what we're looking at here on the QuickBooks Integration tab is some of the many options that you're going to have for sharing this information with those accountants or the bookkeepers that you happen to be working with without having to do any of the duplicate entry. This, I've found, is reason number one why people tend to lose a little bit of money on their jobs. And it's something as simple as trying to move those numbers over to another accounting system and accidentally forgetting a zero or putting in an extra zero or leaving out a line item or something like that. Now, you don't have to. With the QuickBooks integration that we offer through ConstructionSuite Estimating, you can send over your estimates to create your jobs right from the get-go simply by clicking this Create QuickBooks Estimate option, picking one of a couple of options here, like don't forget to include that company overhead and margin that we were just talking about, and then clicking OK sends it all over to QuickBooks and populates it into the Customer Center, much like this. There's that Lot 185 Baldwin Park. Looks like in this case we've already got a couple of change orders lined up as well. And you'll also notice that there's nothing to stop us from having a customer with multiple jobs in there too. So for those of you who have the opportunity to do some remodeling projects, or maybe large-scale commercial projects, or even home builders if you guys are using any kind of consistent clients or anything like that, investment companies or anything like that, these repeat customers are going to be easy to work with in ConstructionSuite, working with QuickBooks as well. And you'll see the information showing up for you like so. So once again, as you're looking at the ConstructionSuite estimate and you're sending the information over, all you have to do is click OK to start sending that detail in place. And that will create all of those jobs, the estimates for those jobs. And as you start to get into a little bit more detail on these as well, you will actually have the ability to send over invoices, purchase orders. This is important, by the way, because you can always filter by those resources that we were talking about earlier. But also, as you start to create these change orders, you'll be able to click accepted on those change orders to push them over and go from there as well. So all of this information is sending over to QuickBooks to give you a lot of this information that we need to keep on cost and keep all of our pricing information right. The information can be pulled back in a similar manner using the import from QuickBooks options here. This includes actual costs like the bills that you're paying, checks that you're writing, paychecks for those of you guys using any kind of payroll system. This is going to work really well also. Same for committed costs. You guys will have the opportunity to go through with purchase orders and invoiced amounts as well. So sharing this information is extremely easy and straightforward with the QuickBooks integration, sending it to QuickBooks so that your bookkeepers can manipulate all the numbers really easy. But the bookkeepers aren't the only people who actually need to be able to access or keep up with this information from the budget. Now, to kind of guide us through that process or talk about some of the information that we can use with ConstructionOnline budgeting, I'm actually going to hand this over at this point to one of our senior ConstructionOnline project specialists here as well, product specialists rather. Amanda, let's go ahead and pass this to you and let you take over.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian. And I do just want to make note, we do see we've got some questions coming in here. We'll be addressing those at the end of our session today. So just kind of hang tight. We're going to try to answer as many as we can there. But Ian is exactly right. So a lot of you will notice that with the release of ConstructionSuite 6, we've also added a new feature in ConstructionOnline. So budgeting is something that is now available with a team or enterprise account there of ConstructionOnline. Ian's got it over here for us. And it really is a fantastic way to show some really important financial details with a number of people really from any location that you have internet or data connection. So what we're looking at here really is an estimate that's been pulled over into ConstructionOnline budgeting. You guys can see here there's a lot of different details. The categories are here, you've got full descriptions, but you also, more importantly, can see things like your change orders as well as client selections. So for those of you that use ConstructionOnline pretty heavily, you know that you've got the ability to very quickly submit those change orders and selections to your clients. You also have the ability to rope in some of those subcontractors and suppliers, people that we would actually call TeamLink members to ConstructionOnline, to make sure that they really are all that they're all roped into those important financial decisions there. So a lot of these can be created directly from your budget. You also can go directly into our change orders feature within ConstructionOnline selections as well. But if we were to really take a look really even at what this would look like with ConstructionOnline clients, so your clients, really it's gonna look something like this. I think this is a great time to talk to you guys a little bit about the importance of using ClientLink and TeamLink. It's really going to allow you to rope in all of those important, pertinent people to your jobs and be able to share information with them quickly. Here we're actually looking at a client link. We can see we've got milestones that are populating over from the schedule. Several of those it looks like that might even be some selection due dates. So client link is really allowing you to be very transparent with your clients. So no one really is coming back to you and wondering why in the world it seems that they're a little bit over budget. Why are we spending $10,000 more? And I have to share a story with you guys very quickly. I actually worked with a client a couple weeks ago who called and she said, Amanda, I lost over $300,000 in change orders last year. What do I do? And so to kind of pull this back into a profitability standpoint and viewpoint here, ConstructionOnline is really a great way to make sure that you can immediately create those change orders and share them with your clients, share them with your subcontractors, so you're not letting anything slip through the cracks. Everything's being documented, and there's no question really in the end in terms of where you are and where you stand on the budget.
Okay. Now, along those lines, where we stand on those budgets, there is something else that comes up fairly regularly, by the way. This is Ian again. For those of you that didn't recognize the voice or maybe thought I sounded exactly like Thomas, which I get, unfortunately, a lot. As we start to go back into some of the project information and everything like that, let's take a look back at the work in progress report.
Awesome. And Ian, actually, I think I'm probably about as excited to learn about work in progress reporting as anyone here. I'm really interested in the way that this works to help you kind of maintain or track your profitability as you go through, but really kind of some of the benefits that this can offer for our contractors who are working with ConstructionSuite, especially those who are working on kind of longer time scale jobs.
That's, it's an important thing to bring up too. So thank you for that, Thomas. I certainly appreciate you bringing up the time scale for this because generally speaking, the work in progress report is something that you want to key in on if you're looking at projects that are at least 6 to 8 weeks long. Anything 6 to 8 weeks and more is something that you'll definitely want to keep track of here in the work in progress report. Typically anything that's a little bit shorter, you're going to be getting paid for a little bit more quickly. then you might need to keep track of. So again, if you've got any of those jobs that are maybe a month and a half, 2 months long, something like that, you'll want to see those here. Anywhere out as long as years from there as well. So you can actually set up a lot of the options in the report itself to show you that. Under the Settings tab, you've got some options to give you an idea about the length of the projects that you want to share. You can also keep in mind, or you can kind of shrink down the list a little bit as well, based on some other parameters here as well, like more than a certain amount of money, less than a different amount, and you can just come in here and put in some of these different numbers.
Yeah, so you can really direct it to look at specifically those jobs that you need to be tracking on those scales. So one of the other things I've noticed is Remodeler's Advantage is a big proponent of work in progress reporting. It's been huge for some of the members that we share with Remodeler's Advantage, and they're always, like I said, a very big proponent of it. Were there any specific reasons that Remodeler's Advantage gave as big advantages of using work in progress reporting?
Absolutely. There's a number of them, in fact, Thomas. And one of the biggest, I would say, shouldn't say one of, the biggest benefit to using something like a work in progress report is you can catch in almost real time, like within a day or so, any time that you start to slip a little bit. When you start to hit a little bit of slippage, or when you start to go a little bit way under budget, a little bit way under, that makes sense. But when your numbers start to be a little bit off in your estimating process, you'll catch it right away rather than waiting a couple of months after the job is closed. This becomes a really, really key component to keeping on target with a lot of your jobs, because any time that you start to lose money, you want to give yourself as much time as possible to get caught up on that job, rather than using future jobs to do that. And the work in progress report that we're looking at right now does an excellent job of this.
Well, Ian, I know a ton of contractors who don't really find out how they performed financially on a job until a year later when the financial reports come out from their accountant. So you're telling me that you can have up-to-date real-time information on your profitability?
That's exactly right. And most of this is because we're actually sharing this information between ConstructionSuite and QuickBooks. So as your bookkeepers are putting in their bills, you're pulling that information back again, and you can track it against things like your original contract price and take a look at your actual costs to date right here in line. So one of the other nice parts about this as well, not only are we building on things like the original contract price, which is how much we obviously signed this job for originally, but it's also going to show us change orders that are coming in with any of the markups applied and anything like that. Then as you move out a little bit further from that, we've got the original job costs, we've got estimated costs by change orders, there's the current job cost budget, and so on out. You'll also notice that in this report, there's going to be a couple of areas where you can adjust the estimated cost to complete. ConstructionSuite is generally calculating this based on your committed costs and what's already been filled thus far. If you ever want to make a change to this, though, if you think that the number seems to be a little bit off, you can always click on this and put in a manually entered value rather than using the automatically calculated numbers here. And as you're going through from there, it's also going to start to calculate some of those percentages that we were talking about just a minute ago, like slippage and grippage. You've got this column here, which is going to show you in line where your schedule thinks you should be percentage-wise versus where your costs show that you should be. If your schedule says that you're 50% done, but your costs show that you're 75% done, that should raise a red flag, and this report will show it to you almost immediately.
What's fantastic is that if any of you are familiar with some of the project management body of knowledge guide rules and guidelines, this is actually directly out of that information. So these are the kind of things that your large-scale project managers use to make sure that their projects come in on time and under budget. And this is going to give you the ability to see any of those problem areas before they become a major issue or they derail the entire project.
That's absolutely true. And you actually, Thomas, you touched on something earlier as well. Remodeler's Advantage has been a huge proponent of using this for good reason. Their goal in making these recommendations are the kind of successful nature of their client base. They want all of their clients to make as much money with as little work as possible, and we share that idea here. We don't want you to have to do a whole lot of paperwork, or we don't want you to be constantly chasing those extra couple of dollars, and putting a work in progress report like this in place should help with that. And you can see that we've got a lot of the good metrics up here at the top that are calculated based off of this as well. But we also give you the ability to take snapshots from this as well. And these snapshots are going to be something that can be generated automatically if you like. We could set it up so that it gives you the snapshot once a month, perhaps. I tend to find that that's pretty common, recommended among most accountants. Just take a look at this maybe once a month. But we give you the ability to automate that process, because that way you can always go back and kind of compare how you stood on the WIP report last month, maybe 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and you can see that progress as you're moving forward. Again, this is a wonderful opportunity to get in there and see the information, get the data, turn it into good, useful knowledge, and track any potential for losing money before it becomes a problem, especially well before the 1 year marker or what have you that you were mentioning just a moment ago, Thomas.
The other nice thing I noticed about this is you have a lot of these visual representations here, and what that shows us is that a lot of the times you have just the financial data, that wall of numbers or text that you send over to your accountant or you run your jobs based off, and sometimes it's kind of hard to turn that into relevant or usable information. So one of the nice things I see here is that these dashboards are going to give you a good kind of natural representation of the ratios and the amounts that you're spending. So you don't need to know necessarily the total amounts, but really just the difference between where you should be and where you are.
That's absolutely true. And there's actually a number of different ways that you can process this information. So we've got this particular kind of bar graph. We've got another stylized graph that could be available here as well. Looks like it's loading up at the moment. But in addition to this, we kind of touched on some of the other options as well. It has once again been my experience working with various different bookkeepers and accountants across the 200,000 clients that we have currently using ConstructionSuite and ConstructionOnline across 70 different countries. There's always common themes, and it's always things like wanting to get this information together, break it down and to process it in various different ways, and you'll actually have several different options for doing this, not just under the graph options, but again, back in the settings. We give you tons of different ways that you can process this. Limit this information to maybe jobs that fit a certain status or stage that you set up, or anything like that. You should see several of the different options if you come into the filter section here as well. Filtering down to project groups, project types, again, project status. Once again, there's an option here to filter down to a project client as well. So if you guys are some of those elite builders that like to work with an investment team, if you've got somebody funding all of these different jobs for you too, you can draw up the WIP report based on just their jobs as well. So tons of different filter options that you guys will have here so that you can provide the best experience for your investors or for your accountant or anybody else that you guys want to work with. And once again, just so many different ways that you can possibly build this report to make sure that every bit of it is giving you the information that you need and to help you find that sweet spot for a lot of your projects as well. Let you focus in on which of your jobs make you guys the most money, because again, that's what we want you to focus on, is making money. So tons of tools like that available in this work in progress report, and we'd be happy to go over more of these details too if you guys have any specific questions.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a real pleasure showing you guys some of the new features of ConstructionSuite 6. As per usual, we'll stay around for a couple of minutes and answer any additional questions. But as is, we're really excited about ConstructionSuite 6 and some of the additional features that we've added. Moving forward, as always, our goal is your success. So the more tools that we add into ConstructionSuite, the more work that you can get done out of it. The integration with ConstructionOnline is going to help you take all this work that you're getting done in ConstructionSuite and share it out and make sure that everyone's working on the same page at the same time. So as always, guys, like I said, we'll stay here. It's been a real pleasure speaking to y'all. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and give us a call. Otherwise, everyone have a great afternoon.
All right, guys, looks like we've got a couple of questions coming in, and I want to go ahead and hit on these if we possibly can. First, we actually had one of the attendees ask earlier if there is a way to turn an estimate into a cost book. Just take an entire ConstructionSuite estimate and build a ConstructionSuite cost book out of it. Go into the items database and have all those items show up. The answer is a resounding yes. Of course you can, and in the estimates in ConstructionSuite, if you come back to one of these sections where we can open up the cost book, let's get in there and do so. You will find, under the Tools menu, an option to actually import all the items from an estimate into any given cost book. If you go through and select this, you'll be able to pick which estimate or which job you want to use the estimate from, and then you can either create a new cost book from that estimate, or you can add it to an existing estimate. Or cost book, rather. Existing cost book. Now, I see a lot of people doing this for keeping track of job-specific costs. Pretty common when people are going through and they're tracking bid information or something like that, because once again, this is going to create the categories and subcategories and the items for you in the cost book, and then you can start tagging in other people's quotes. Wonderful tool to use, and if you guys are interested in taking a look at that, I highly recommend it. You'll find it again under the Tools menu, Import Items from Estimate, and it'll be right there. All right, so let's see what's next up on the list of questions. Several great questions coming in for you guys. Great questions. Yeah. But let's see, what's next? Is it possible to import Excel files using OnCost? Potentially. And that's actually going to lump into one of the next questions as well. Can ConstructionSuite sync information with PlanSwift? We actually have the ability to import lots and lots of materials lists from a wide variety of different CAD programs, takeoff tools, and so on. You'll find these under the File menu in ConstructionSuite's Estimate. When you come under CAD Import, we have programs in here that we work with, like eTakeoff. There's PlanSwift 9, when you guys mentioned that one. We've got takeoff tools. Those two are takeoff. I think OnCenter is one of the takeoff tools that we offer integration with, rather. Soft List, which is part of SoftPlan, you can pull from there as well. And some of the drafting programs that we work with are design tools like Chief Architect, AutoCAD, Revit. I think CAD Soft and Visioneer might be a takeoff program. But this is the list of current programs that we work with. And all of these use the takeoff or the design software to build a list of materials that, rather than re-entering those into ConstructionSuite by hand, we allow you to just pull in the whole lot. From here, you can just select the import option that you want to use. It'll build the entire estimate for you, categories, subcategories, items, and all, so that you don't have to re-enter anything. Then, again, if you guys choose to take this option, you can build a cost book from it, perhaps. You can send it over to QuickBooks if you want to. You can obviously generate tons of reports, like proposals and the like. You can also send it up to ConstructionOnline from there as well, if you're interested. So, once again, great questions. Answer is yes, we can do both. PlanSwift integration or CAD integration, you'll see that there, and most of those do use Excel files, so that's going to be an option. All right, so thanks guys for the questions. Keep them coming. We've still got a little bit of time as well, so fire away if you guys have anything else.
So we actually have another question coming in that's asking if you can create a budget in ConstructionOnline only. So as an example, do you always have to send your estimate over to ConstructionOnline in order to be able to access that feature there? And the answer to that is no. You actually, you guys can create a budget within ConstructionOnline only without sending that over from ConstructionSuite. Now, a lot of our clients actually use both ConstructionSuite and ConstructionOnline together. They're a full solution when you use them together. And so a lot of them are actually sending their estimates over to ConstructionOnline, but you certainly have the full capability of being able to generate a budget right here within ConstructionOnline, and again be able to tie in those change orders and selections as it would pertain to your clients and your TeamLink members.
Hey, good afternoon guys, this is Thomas again. It looks like we have a fantastic question about the way that templates work in ConstructionSuite. So the question is really, are you limited to the templates that come with ConstructionSuite? Now, we do offer a huge number of templates that are going to cover not only things like your remodeling and your residential packages, but also some of the CSI master format divisions that we see some of our larger builders using. But the great thing about ConstructionSuite is you can actually create a template out of any estimate or document that you're using in ConstructionSuite. So you can build your estimates out, and then you can choose to go under File and Save As, and save it as a template. From there, you're going to be able to pick out which information that you scrub from the estimate, like your costs or your quantities that are coming through. But yeah, you can actually build any number of templates for your different jobs or project types and be able to generate estimates directly into those quickly and easily.
Awesome, and we do have another question coming in here, you guys, that's basically asking if the online applications are included in ConstructionSuite. And the answer to that is that, first of all, we are the only company out there, by the way, that offers 3 different platforms for project management. Our ConstructionOnline on-site applications are one of them. And actually the ability to share information between ConstructionSuite and those applications are a part of your Total Care membership. So for those of you out there that have that membership, it's going to give you what's called SuiteLink, where you have the ability to share information such as calendar activities or to-dos automatically automatically with the on-site applications to be able to access those directly from the field. So yes, some of them are included, but really it's more with the Total Care membership. For those of you out there who are maybe not familiar with that membership, just to kind of go over, recap some of the benefits, it is going to give you the ability to obviously, access SuiteLink, so share some of that information with the cloud. But it's also going to give you, priority phone and email support. It's going to give you free updates and upgrades. So many of you out there that have upgraded to ConstructionSuite 6 already may be Total Care members. And then it's also going to give you quarterly updates to your RS means. So just a few of those benefits there. But yes, you absolutely can, with a Total Care membership, access information in the cloud using our on-site applications.
Awesome. And it looks like we have another great question about the way that ConstructionSuite handles your units. So with the units in ConstructionSuite, they're going to be handled on a per item basis. So you'll assign different unit types to your different items as you go through your estimate. One of the nice things about the flexibility of ConstructionSuite though is you can actually create your own different unit types and have those associated to multiple different items, and it's going to kind of assign those items together. So from there, you can pull reports directly out of ConstructionSuite that are going to target just specific items or item types and have those listed there with them. So it makes it really easy to break your estimate down into the different types that you're working with, or kind of those different quantity amounts. It looks like we actually have a continuation to that question, which is another great aspect of it, is going to be how you would handle something that's really like a selection for your client, where they have different options that they can choose from that may be measured in different units or come in different amounts. What that really is going to be is a job for our selections in ConstructionOnline. I'll let Amanda tell you a little bit more about how those function.
Sure, absolutely. So for those of you out there, by the way, who have a team or enterprise account, this is part of the pro features. Our client selections are part of the pro features that are available to you. So really that's a great question, and really what you would want to do is to simply go to your client selections feature within ConstructionOnline. First, make sure that you're choosing the appropriate project. And then from that, you can very quickly create different categories, subcategories, and then offer, as in this example, multiple different types of selections. So if we were taking a look perhaps at flooring and you wanted to offer 3 or 4 different, flooring selections, maybe different colors for hardwood or something of that nature. Here we are. Thank you, Thomas. This gives you the ability to do that. So then your clients can very quickly log on and be able to see what choices you've submitted to them. And then as you can see here, they can very quickly either approve or reject which one they would actually like you to move forward with. So it's a very simple process. And by the way, you also have the ability to set up your categories and subcategories for your clients, and then actually have them submit selections to you as well. So it's kind of a two-way street, making it a lot easier for you to be able to manage those.
All right, guys. Well, it looks like we've run out of questions for today. Once again, this has been a great pleasure showing you guys some of the things that we're working on behind the scenes here at UDA Technologies. We're always striving to improve the software, ConstructionSuite and ConstructionOnline, and really work to make it the best product available for you. So we're really happy that we had everyone come join us today to see some of these new aspects. If you have any additional questions, feel free to go ahead and give us a call. We're available from 9 to 7 Eastern time. So go ahead and just call in, have a conversation with one of us. We'll have another webinar coming up on Thursday, I believe. And we'll be going over some of our client success testimonials and some of the stories about how they've used ConstructionSuite and ConstructionOnline to get the most out of their business. So everyone, I hope you have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Bye, guys.